Welcome to Crystals and Tea with your crew today, Sarah and Emma. Hello. We're so happy to be here, and thanks for those watching the replay and anyone who will be joining live throughout our conversation of crystals, one of our favorite things to talk about, and some tea. So first off, I'm Sara Wong, and I own Energy Haus, which is a holistic wellness website full of services and products for your mind, body, and soul. I'm also host of a popular radio show on KCAA radio called Master Your Energy. And today I'm so excited to introduce a new series with one of my favorite soul sisters, Emma Roberts. So I'm going to pass it on to Emma to introduce herself.
Hello, so I'm Emma Roberts. I am the designer behind Desert Daisy Jewelry. I do raw crystal jewelry. I am wearing, actually per Sarah's recommendation, I'm wearing my smoky today. But this is one of my pieces. I do big, fun, over-the-top crystal jewelry, but I also love doing meaningful crystal prescription jewelry, as I like to call it, where I work with people to figure out exactly what they need. So talking crystals is kind of my jam. I love it. My house is surrounded by crystals. Sarah is like one of my favorite people to share with because she and I have such a similar approach to how we work with crystals. So I'm excited for today and for the new series.
Yeah. So Emma and I, when Energy Haus was a brick and mortar as well, we used to every Tuesday get together and hold different things with crystals or just talked with crystals. Anyone lucky enough to come in the store got the pleasure of speaking with both of us. And we always said we wish these conversations were recorded because we do have very different perspectives on crystals and also very similar. We both use them very intuitive. And as a healer, I'm an energy healer, Reiki master, and also an Akashic soul advisor. I support people in downloading frequencies to support them in moving forward in their life. And by taking on new thought leadership within a perspective around their business or their relationship. And oftentimes that energy it comes from crystals. So as we go through this series, I'll be able to share different stories and ways I use different crystal energies to heal and get that information. And what I love about Emma is that all her pieces are healing, like she mentioned. And not only that, Emma has a very interesting background as an astrophysicist, but also a chemist. And I think you should also talk about really your process and how you build with elements and frequencies to create these amazing healing pieces people can wear throughout their day.
Yeah, I love talking about the process because I am a science nerd at heart. It did take me a while to find my exact place in the science community, and I really appreciate how my knowledge from my previous life has allowed me to really work with crystals in an intuitive way. So I do consider myself an intuitive jewelry designer. And when I find a piece, a crystal, I love to keep it as close to nature as possible. So I work with pure copper and I use electric currents and break down copper pipes molecularly and reassemble them onto the crystal. Here, I'll show you on my ring that I've got today. This one you can see here, the copper just becomes like an organic part of the crystal. The other thing I love is copper is a perfect conductor of electric current, electromagnetic frequencies. So it doesn't dampen or change the vibrations of the crystal. So often people say you have to wear it against your skin directly. The cool thing about copper is it just transmits energy so wonderfully that you don't have to worry about that the same way you would when you're working with other metals. So that's an added benefit to my work. I feel like I'm just completing the crystal for its next phase.
Yeah, I only, every day I wear Emma's, she made this piece for this store. It's a mermaid tail and it's on a labradorite, which is one of my favorite stones to wear every single day. And it has the copper on it and it's, the energy is just different compared to wired wrap crystals or anything in gold or silver. It's, it does dampen the crystal energy. And I think that's important to talk about because there are a lot of, jewelry designer and crystal makers, and I'm not trying to take away from those elements, but it's more of just being aware of like, you know, is it energetically serving and feels good energetically? And when I feel crystals with copper, it's always a yes. Like there's never been oh, this feels off. Having owned a store before and being able to deal with a lot of different vendors and artists in that arena, I could always feel the difference. And at first I was like, why does Emma's always feel stronger vibrationally? Like I didn't understand. And then when she started going into her process more, I'm like, oh, wow. Not only is her process energetically aligned to the formation of crystals, you know, you're tapping into the ancient formation. And when we can tap into those natural rhythms and vibrations, that's when we can honor the energy in a whole other way. So, you know, I do feel like there's layers. And, you know, if you have anything wired wrapped and it just feels dull, it's, you know, you might want to explore maybe copper wire. And a lot of jewelry designers do use copper wire. However, the process Emma does is just super unique and different. And I feel like this would be a good time to talk about the wands too, because
Yes.
these are, you know, these are not jewelry, but this is a wand Emma made. I made a request. I was like, I want a wand. And she took it on herself to explore different wands. So they have the clear quartz tips, and we'll get into clear quartz in just a minute and all those benefits. So I'll save that for a minute. But you can see the whole wand is copper, and it just is such a cool energy. I use it when I do remote healing. It's almost like my energy chopsticks. So I'm able to really clear energy out, which we'll get into in a minute on how I do that with clear quartz specifically. So of course I didn't even tell her I wanted clear quartz on the tip, but she knew. So these wands are also available custom made as well. So contact Emma for that. I'll add in her email details to the description of this video afterwards. So you have that for anyone watching live or the replay that's like, oh, I want a wand. They're amazing. They're great tools. You can use them any way you want. That's, you know, I'm still building a relationship with them. And crystals are very inspiring as they send us messages on how they want us to work with them based on our own skill sets, our own intuition, and our own frequency we're vibrating, or whatever frequency our clients or loved ones are vibrating. So they're always sending inspiration and thoughts. So just be open whenever you're around a crystal, be open to receiving those energies. That's really step one.
Totally. I love the wands. And I had to add, I know, so Sara requested amethyst wands specifically. And this is what I love doing. I love taking what the client requests and just amping it up a little bit, because knowing how Sara works, that's the benefit too for me to like design for somebody I know. I can really like play a little bit more. But knowing how you work, and I love the idea of amethyst, and I used some really fun different amethyst pieces for you. But I had to include the clear quartz because it's an amplifier. And that's one of my favorite things about quartz is you can use it alone or you can use it with other crystals. And it just is this perfect energy boost amplification. And so those ones needed to have the one end with the clear quartz to give, especially for your remote right now. Yeah, to give that.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because what happened was I found a website that had wands and they were like $400. And I was like, this doesn't feel right at all. That feels way too expensive. I get 100 or 150 max, if that, because of the honoring the process, but $400, that just is ridiculous. So I sent that to Emma, and it was only amethyst, and I wanted the clear quartz for the exact reason you just said, because I use clear quartz in my crystal grids, I use it for healing, and so it naturally was a desire, but I didn't want to throw that challenge at you because I didn't know if that was possible. So it's so interesting that, you know, what we truly want is created when we just throw the intention out there and be open to whatever comes back. So with that, I think it's a good segue to jump into clear quartz and, you know, the properties of it, the nuances, both from our perspective. So Emma, you want to kick it off?
Sure. Because I got to start because I know you're going to take it so much more in depth. But clear quartz to me, like it's funny because when I first started working with crystals, I thought clear quartz was boring because it's one of the most common minerals out there. You know, and everybody knows about it. And I got really excited by the more like exotic crystals. But the more like I pushed against it, the more I realized like the reason clear quartz is so cool is because it's so abundant. It has more forms than any other crystal I know. It also has more history and more cultural use. Because it's been around and it's been discovered. Like we're still discovering new crystals the deeper we dig in the earth, or, you know, it's like different fault lines shift, things are exposed. But there's something that's so universal about clear quartz. So I kind of got rid of that hang up of, oh, it's boring because you can find quartz, you know, on the side of a mountain. Because the more you explore it, the more it's just really varied and it's so cool. And I think some of my favorites, I know I brought some of my favorite quartz pieces and I was, some of my favorites are just really funky formations. Like here you have, I'll flip it this way here. You have little quartz point there, right? Looks totally normal. The other side has its own little family of quartz points growing on it. And the energies off of that just become so like delicious. I know it's the wrong word because who eats crystals, but I can't find the right word. But when you have these like cluster points, so I love working with those when I do jewelry. They're showstoppers, so people like to look at them, but it does something really special for the energies. It makes you feel very powerful and like radiant. So I remember when I first started yoga, they talked about, excuse me, they talked about like Om being the universal vibration. And quartz to me is the Om of the crystal world. So whenever people are not sure where to start, I always love to get them started with clear quartz. It vibrates at our human frequency. So it's very easy. Like I'm holding this in my hand right now and I'm like, ooh, it's just very easy to feel if you're not sensitive to it, if you haven't worked with it before. It has just a really gentle intro to the crystal world. So that's now my favorite one to start with. Plus it's really versatile for jewelry and I'm always going to be looking at it that way. So
Yes.
can't forget that.
Yeah. Yeah. For me, like, in addition to everything you said, it resonates because I see clear quartz as the master healer. It can help us with meditation. It can help us also with clearing our frequency. So because it has that human vibration, it's working with all the chakras, but specifically speaking from the crown, and then it moves down. So it's like that higher perspectives uplifting and allowing you to be fluid. So, you know, sometimes other crystals resonate in the lower chakras. And if you're already in that lower chakra energy, it could be overwhelming. That's why some people pick up crystals. They're like, oh, that's too much. But usually with clear quartz, like you were saying, it's very neutral. It's very, it's going to amplify whatever energies around. So if it's the only crystal you're holding, it's going to amplify that higher frequency and help cleanse, help move energy. That's why healers like myself, I'm a certified crystal healer. You can use quartz, specifically Vogel quartz, are amazing for opening up every energy center and moving out anything that's blocked, almost like that. If you go to history and if you read anything of old prophecies of the Atlantis times, they used to have what people, channelers, pulled up as crystal healing ceilings and rooms and beds, and would use these to alchemize the body. And, you know, in their belief systems, what they would do is put quartz above the crown and in the left and right hand and on the solar plexus. And it would just help create this triangular energy of flow that would help move out anything dense. So it's kind of like a liquid cleanse. So there's so many ways to use it. And, you know, this most simplest way, especially if you have any trouble sleeping, just placing it under your pillow is also very effective. Selenite's great. And the thing I love about quartz is that it can amplify other crystals. So on a grid, there's different formations of quartz you can leverage to pull in the energy of the crystals in one concentrated area in the center. And then that can, based on the intention you have in agreement with the grid, it could send out the energy of the other crystals all in one. So that's why it's like working with many different types of energies. If you want to work with creativity, abundance, protection, there's all these different formations in crystal grid systems, and having what one is called a generator, which typically can look like this. And then a crystal grid, some people don't know what crystal grids are. Crystal grids can be any like sacred geometry formation. Sometimes they're animals. This is an owl. So what I would do is I would put the intention, program the crystal to activate this owl grid, which owls could be used for wisdom, for protection, for sending messengers to you know, the areas of our life that we're ready to heal and evolve. So I always say that they're messengers of the night, and they always are looking out for us, the watchers, right? So you can set your intention, whatever your process is. There's so many to do with crystal grids, but the generator would go right in the center. And then what you would do is, as you add all the different crystal formation and energies that you want to also leverage, all of those would move into this generator. And then I would program that generator energy to go to me or my loved ones or an area of my life, or, you know, or just meditate with the energy, and really you can feel it above it. So there's so many ways to work with that. But this is, you know, usually this is like a crystal point, which has those 6 triangular faces that all lead up to one point. And there's so many different types of crystal points. So the one that this is called like a longer point, which some people use as a wand to help like clear out energy. And then it could also be a generator, right? Used as a generator, pulling in the energy of the other crystals and amplifying it to a specific purpose area in your life. Anything you want to add to that?
Well, I just want to say I loved playing with the crystal grids at Energy Haus. We should totally do in a future one of these. Like, we should work with quartz and whatever the crystal of the week kind of like we're working with there, and actually do a grid, like, and kind of work through that, because I think for a lot of people it's overwhelming to think about crystal grids and like where to start. And you can actually create a crystal grid without, like, you have those amazing what's called the wood burned like graphic, but you can create a crystal grid at home using very simple tools, and I think it'd be fun to showcase that. So as we advance through more crystals, let's plan that in.
I love that idea. That's a great idea. And also, if you want to create a grid for something specific, you can always reach out. There's a link in the video where you could do a customized crystal shopping experience based on your needs with me. But you can always reach out and say, I just want a crystal grid for this area of my life, and we can design it together. And that's, you know, Emma and I both work that way. Is, you know, we're not here to sling crystals and just be quantity. We're really about relationship building, healing with the crystals, and working with them long term. So even if you buy a piece of jewelry, it's still an energy you can meditate with, you can, you know, have on your altar space, you can wear in ceremonies. If you buy a crystal grid or crystal kit from me, it's going to be aligned to a purpose you're working towards. And everything I do, I channel with, you know, your higher self, with the crystals. So, you know, we both work in a very customized way, because for us, these are truly tools, and tools we love, and we love teaching others how to use the tools, but teaching in a way where we're empowering you to build your own intuition of what resonates, and, you know, how you can continue to work with it and explore the energy of whatever crystal you're working with. So we wanted to also give you some examples of those nuances. So we just described clear quartz as a very general energy, but now all the different types of formation of crystal quartz have different meanings and ways to work with them. And when I say there's thousands, I probably mean there's millions of types of quartz out there. So by no means are we going to be even able to cover all of that, but at least you can get an idea of the variety and the ones we like to work with and have experience with as well. So do you want to kick it off, Emma?
Yeah. So my favorite, I already showed one that I'm planning on working with, but I want to show an example. And of course, all my examples are going to be jewelry because that's my world. But all the uses and the vibes of these crystals, whether you're wearing them or in their home, it doesn't matter. This is one of my crystal cluster pieces. And you can see there's just all this fun points. So this to me, we talked about like the generator crystal, which is that single large point, you know, and I've got mine here, like, you know, everyone kind of starts with that. But there is something that's really magical about these crystal clusters, where you have a base of quartz, but you have crystals that are growing in both directions. So you can end up like this one. I don't know if you can tell, it's so hard to see, but there are some double terminated pieces that are growing sideways on here. So you get, oh, there we go. So you get lots of different crystal formations working together, which is super fun. And this one I love, even though it's giant. Look how thin that is. Like, it's like the easiest thing in the world to wear. Well, maybe not the easiest, but of my pieces, it definitely is. So this one to me is like a showstopper. This is what you wear when you want that extra confidence boost. I love it because the design of it being so large is definitely, people are going to talk about it. They're going to talk to you about it. And I think, I don't know, I always feel better when I get compliments. When I walk in a room, I don't know people, I get compliments. And that makes me feel like, okay, like I can do this, gives a little extra boost. But I love hearing from my clients how pieces like this have helped them on their big day. Like I have a client who is in New York. She's been a good client for years, and she has a piece that she wore to do her PhD thesis. And afterwards, she told me about how like she wore my necklace while she was doing it. And afterwards, one of the professors who was part of her committee, who she really hadn't talked to very much beforehand, came up and commented on the necklace and started a conversation that progressed then to more work stuff. And it just made me feel really good, because that's exactly what I want out of a piece like this, where it's just helping you like push your energies out in the world. So when you talk about quartz being an amplifier, this like quartz cluster with the multiple formations on it there makes me think it's like a personal amplifier. Like no wallflowers need apply. So that's one of my favorites. Ooh, and earlier you had talked about the putting quartz under your pillow.
Yeah.
And so this is not a piece of jewelry, but this is my little itty bitty tiny vial of Herkimer quartz. And I keep them in a little vial because I keep it next to the bed. It's so tiny. But it's amazing. First of all, Herkimer quartz are so sparkly and fabulous. They're little double terminated quartz. They are named after where they were found in Herkimer, upstate New York. There's also some that have been found in like Pakistan, I believe, that are called Pakimers. I don't have any in my possession, but I think it's something like that. But Herkimers would come straight from upstate New York. They're beautiful and they're amazing for lucid dreaming. And I've always had trouble with my dreams. Oh, look, you've got yours.
Yeah.
Yours is good. It's got some great inclusions in there.
I know. It's a double terminated, so it has 2 points. This one, so this Herkimer, like Herkimer diamonds are rare because like Emma mentioned, they're only from Herkimer County in upstate New York. And yeah, I believe that there is a different type, but it's not the traditional Herkimer. This one has a ton of rainbows too. And like this piece right now, this would be over $500. It's very expensive. Yeah. The little ones you have, those little ones would be like 20 each, probably 10, 20. The real ones, because there's a lot of knockoffs, but you could feel, I mean, they do feel like a diamond energy for sure.
Yeah.
They're very powerful.
even though they're little and clear, you can still see the black flecks and inclusions in them.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen a Herkimer that doesn't have it. So if
No.
you're looking at Herkimers and you're not sure if it's real, if it looks too good to be true, it's probably not real. That's my experience. And if it is truly a Herkimer and it's clear without those inclusions, you're going to pay a fortune for it. So that's kind of the best way to tell. I have a wonderful, it's almost like it's a double term, but it's tiny, maybe like that big. But it has a water bubble inside.
Oh, cool.
What are those called again when they have that?
Anhydrous.
Yes, anhydrous. Thank you. And it's so tiny. And I remember when I first picked it up, I just was like tilting back and forth. It's like a little level, you know, and you can watch it move. And it's so cool to think about how old that crystal is and how that like water energy has been trapped in there for like that long. Like, I mean, millions of years. Like these are earth formation kind of crystals.
Yeah.
So cool.
Yes. That is.
So I love Herkimers.
That is, you know, to play off that energy is the Lumerian quartz. So this is Lumerian, strawberry Lumerian quartz. This is what's considered a record keeper. So it contains information from Earth, and I brought into many different sacred sites to pray and activate. So this is it's also called Lumerian quartz. There's so many different energies. You know, if it's a record keeper, if it has these like lines going down the side, and when you actually like use your thumb, it's just when you meditate and do when I pull Akashic records with this, I can channel a lot of my past lives, from when I was a healer, from when I was an ancient elder. So it's a fascinating stone to work if you ever want to connect to your soul or any of your soul incarnations. Lumerians are so connected to the earth, and there's different shades of Lumerian. So this, like I mentioned, this is a strawberry Lumerian. So this is more connected to the heart energy, and that's a clear, that's a beautiful clear one.
This one I love doing. When I do crystal point necklaces, I love using Lemurian quartz for it. And this is a fun one because it's got the lava bead necklaces on it. So you can combine your essential oils and your crystal love. But yeah, Lemurian quartz is amazing. And this has, again, those little lines. It's so hard to catch on camera. But yeah, when you see those lines, that's the good stuff.
Yeah. Yep, those are the records. You want they always, you know, there's a myth or maybe a belief I have, and I believe in it because they're hard to find. You don't really come across these very often. Not, you know, there's a lot, not the record keepers. And when you find one, you know, and there's a connection to it, but it's usually blank because in order to unlock the records, you got to spend time with it. So I love that necklace has the lava beads because oils and crystals together, add some Melissa or frankincense or, you know, even like myrrh, and you can open up a whole portal of information. So it's so fun to, you know, connect to your higher self with specific crystals because you'd be surprised, like the information that comes through is not the same when I don't have it. So I bring this to any time I do ceremony work. It's one of my sacred crystals, so not for sale. And you know, next time I did have a bunch of record keepers, but I have sold them all. So once I get more, I'll definitely do maybe a whole series on the different record keepers I was able to acquire. So when I go crystal shopping, it's specific. I don't do quantity. I used to when I had a brick and mortar store, but now that I'm only online, it's very specific and would be connected more to like a ceremony, a purpose, a service. So I'm very, very specific with my selection. And I love that I can do that now. I loved my bulk before, but it wasn't the same. I always had to spend so much more energy with the bulk because it's almost like they're pieces and they're all, you know, all over the place. So I'm actually excited to focus more on like acquiring really cool, specific, aligned crystals for healing and soul exploration even more. And I already have so many good ones, so I'll definitely mention which ones are for sale too.
Well, I think that's something that I really enjoy about like the way that my business has progressed too, is that I get to do so many one-off creations. And,
Yeah.
I often say when I go crystal shopping, if I don't know what it's going to be when it's there on the table, I leave it for somebody else, because the pieces that come with me are meant for me to work with.
Yeah.
And so there is a joy to that you're not dealing, like you are hand selecting and you're picking them for some specific energy and able to pass it on. But it does make it a little bit more challenging, because if I just ordered crystals in bulk, I
Yeah.
would always have what a customer needs in that moment. And sometimes it'll take a while for me to source it, but
Yeah.
it's so much more meaningful and special when it's been sourced for the energies they need,
Yeah.
and not just stored in a garage somewhere, waiting to come out.
Yeah. Yeah. The next type of crystal, quartz, that I love, one of my favorites, and one I feel like is not really well known, is the self-healed quartz. So there's different types of quartz. They could be points, they can be slabs, they could be even like just, polished little chunks of quartz too. But the self-healer typically has different inclusions of like, it's hard to explain, but basically you could tell, like, for example, this has like a rough end, and inside of the crystal you can kind of see the brown in it still. And some quartz will start healing their energy, and so any rarities, any impurities, over time it starts to actually form and almost become part of the crystal formation, and it does that on its own. And this is a great energy to use if you're wanting to connect to your spiritual, emotional levels, but they're great teachers for those suppressed energies that want to be healed, but maybe haven't been addressed. So this is a great energy to work with if you're addressing old hurts, or if you're ready to just, go into that shadow work. I always say this is like my favorite shadow work crystal, because it's going to amplify those areas in a very loving way. So as we mentioned before, it's such a solid energy. It works with all the chakras, allows that higher perspective to come through. So if it's something emotional, this is a great energy to be gentle with and give yourself space with. So this is for sale. This one typically is about 100, but right now I have it for sale for 80. So if you are looking for a crystal, you can reach out and I'll work with you on, I only have one. This is the only one I have. But I'll work with you on how you can use it. We can talk about, what you're wanting to program it to, and I'll just give you all these different ways to use it. And then Emma, I believe you have a few, I think you have one piece or a few pieces. Yeah.
I think I have one piece right now. But I love, so the self-healed quartz are just so cool, because scientifically too, like the more you get into the formation of the crystals and how, like, I don't want to say violent, but it kind of is, like these beautiful, amazing things are created by major energetic shifts and like violent upheaval in the Earth's crust and the formation and the high heat. And it's just so neat. And so when you think about these quartz crystals that are still growing after formation, there's still new minerals flowing in and allowing them to continue to grow, but they contain these like memories of shock and friction and rupture and all of that. So it's just really magical when it comes to thinking about that in the history of this one crystal that you're carrying. Specifically, on that vein, I've got a piece of Faden quartz here. So you can see, do you see that line that is running through? That is the self-healed break. Faden quartz is well known because it's a rapid healer. So it actually grows multiple points from the break, instead of yours, which is like that one there is a different formation of it where it's slowly with time. Faden quartz grows rapidly and it's thin, like thin, tiny little thin there, but multiple tabular quartz that grow, and it grows in all directions and heals along that break. One of the things, so it makes really cool shapes, which is why I love it for jewelry, because it's really fascinating. But the thing about Faden quartz, and I've been trying to think of another way to say it, because the way I describe it is a little like, okay, the best way to describe it is this is a shit or get off the pot kind of a crystal. And I need a new phrase for that. So maybe you can help me out with that because, right? But
Yeah.
it basically, if there's things that you're waffling on or cycles that repeat, 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 and you need to break them, or you need to move past them. Maybe it's not breaking it, but maybe it's accepting that it's over and healed and moving on. That's what I use this crystal for. So it's a great one for thinking about, like, I think relationships are the easiest thing, but whether it's, you know, a disappointment in life or things didn't work out the same, or you're not 100% happy, you're harping on something that you either have to change or you have to accept that you can't change. And it's a wonderful crystal for, I mean, I don't know how many times in my life I've been in that position, and wish I had it with me, but that's energetically what Faden Quartz is great for. And as I said, visually, it makes really cool pieces. So it's a win-win for me.
I would say the description of rapid healer is enough, because that's truth. Like the self-healed quartz is, like you mentioned, slow progression, gentle, it's nurturing. This is also quartz point, which is going to support you in pointing that energy to any specific part in your body that you want to work with. The Faden quartz is that rapid healing. So it's almost, the way I see it, it's like that permission slip shield of like invisibility of like, I'm just gonna do it and I'm ready. You know, it's
rip the Band-Aid.
Yeah.
It's a rip the Band-Aid.
Yeah. Rip the Band-Aid. Yeah. And it's spicy too. Like the energy of that is like, it is transformative. It's rapid. It's just like now, you know, and it's, you know, urgent. So it's similar energy to like a Moldavite. It's a higher frequency. It's, you know, because it was demanded of so much when it was in creation. So of that energy, it's going to demand whatever energy is needed to evolve of that individual. So, you know, if you're ready to take a huge leap of faith, that would be a great energy to work with for sure. Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
Another energy I have, which, you know, some might think this is sad, but I actually think it's one of my favorites. And it's, you know, it's called the mother and child stone. Some people call this the dolphin stone, and it's usually when you have two quartz formations that are connected in some way. And, you know, it's almost like one's carrying the other or attached to it. I call this the broken mother child, because one piece is actually like, you know, it's definitely there, and it's like, it feels very loving, but it almost feels like, you know, someone that's lost a child and, you know, is healing from that, but knowing that child's always with them. And this could be a fur baby. This could be, you know, so I love the energy of this one because it's just very gentle and unique. But anytime you see 2 points or 2 formations, you know, a lot of people will call that the dolphin energy or the mother-child energy. And again, you could pick it up, feel it, like, oh, is this nurturing? Or, you know, what is the shape symbolize to me? Because for you, it might be something else, you know, might resonate in a different message, like you and your angel, right? You and your guide. So whatever feelings you get when you hold the energy of that, it's an opportunity to ask yourself, like, oh, what does this represent? And then you can use it for, like, for this one, like, I like to use this one whenever I feel an attachment that I'm, you know, my dog, for example, Lucky, he's going to be 16 in September. And sometimes I fear, like, oh no, what's the day, you know, that he decides it's time for him to transition, because I know in that reality, it's available. So, you know, this is kind of a stone I have that I use whenever I feel overwhelmed in that, and attachment to anything, that it's like, it's going to be fine. No matter what, I get to enjoy his energy now. It helps bring that presence energy into me. So this, to me, I like to call that the unhealthy attachments that we can somehow get. You know, maybe it's a goal. Maybe it's like, oh, this business identity. It's like, when I achieve these many followers or this much money a month, then this, like, I would use this. That's an unhealthy attachment, because that's actually limiting and declaring you already have limitations. So you're now having to work through all the limitations that you're vibrating at. So working with this is a way to work through, like, okay, presence, like, oh wow, I get to create today and start from scratch and start to build, you know, what I really want to be putting my energy into. So that clarity can come with that extra boost. So even though it's broken, even just holding this, I'm like, all these ideas are coming, right? And it's just opening up that idea of, you know, not everything's fluid and we're never alone. Nothing ever truly transitions. It's just different expressions of frequency at all times, and not to normalize it, neutralize it, but just to give it not so much energy and priority in my mindset, right? So clear quartz, clear mind. That's another way. That's why it's great for meditation.
I totally need that. You know, my attachment to my Katie, my little girl. And I think like, it's funny because my husband thinks I'm crazy because I look at her sometimes, I'm like, she's almost 10. Like I have to mentally prepare myself for when she transitions. And I think, oh my gosh, lucky is that like so much further along, but energetic and fabulous as always. But it's just funny to like, why do I waste that energy in the moment? Like she's here now. She's got plenty of time. Like this girl is a healthy, happy, nurtured dog, but the fear of losing her is so overwhelming. And so I think that's something that we all have at some, like in some aspect of our lives. So gotta find me one of those.
Yes. Any other crystals you want to talk about, or any other types?
Well, something I work with a lot that I think people sometimes are, I mean, there's so many cool different things. So sometimes, again, like the average or the normal gets forgotten. Something I love working with is just a really simple, unpolished, raw point. So one, like, this is absolutely like one of my favorites. Let me see if we can. Clear quartz is not the best one to show. But you can see here, this is a design. I have quite a few different designs doing clear points, and they really are just beautiful radiators of energy. This kind of a piece to me is an easy one to wear. I do actually, the earrings I'm wearing today are little clear points. So they're a great one to carry with you as a daily thing. Oh, I've got another, like, I also love hanging. So this is like a little crystal moon druzy, but there's the little tiny points hanging from it. So I'll use these a lot. And I think, I don't think of a bad rep, but it's a great everyday. Like if you want to carry, like, I don't know about you, I carry them in my bra. I don't always have pockets, but pockets in your bra, in your purse, keep them with you. Little crystal points, just single, but I like the unpolished. There's something like even, and like they can still look pretty perfect unpolished, but you can see that they're not that mirror man-made finish to them. And I think that that's something I love working with, because that's your amplifier. That's your daily energy. That's just, if you're going to start somewhere, start there. So again, kind of wrapping back to like what I said in the beginning, is like, don't overlook the obvious just because it's the obvious.
And the good thing that I love raw points. Like I'll use these for anything that's a point, you can direct the energy. And just imagine like it's going to amplify the energy of whatever it's around. So, you know, if I grab, you know, a chunk of rose quartz and put it with the quartz, this can amplify the quartz. So if I want extra heart healing, right? So you could do, you know, you could direct at any point, you can direct energy to. So this amethyst quartz, well, it is a version of quartz right before it becomes amethyst, is clear quartz, and then reaches a different temperature, turns that purple hue. That purple hue activates an energy of calm, of release, of transmutation. So I'll use this as a healer for any pain. Anytime I have a tooth pain, headache, anytime my clients have any type of stiffness in their bodies, I'll actually take, these are my two healers. I'll take my two crystal points, one amethyst, one clear quartz, and I use them together, direct the energy to that specific region. My husband loves it. I actually love doing this. It's my favorite if I have a headache or just need to clear my mind or anything. So I recommend everyone getting an amethyst point and clear quartz. That is probably one of the best tools. Now, if you want to get a citrine from the Congo quartz, oh my gosh, that is great for Kundalini energy, creativity, abundance. I mean, we could go on and on. Like we mentioned, there's thousands, probably millions of types of different quartz, and, you know, based on how they are created, how they're mixed with minerals, there's rutilated quartz, there's so many nuances. So, you know,
we'll have to do subsections, like, because amethyst or smoky or citrine, they all could have their own.
So many. Yeah, that will be part 2, is we'll get into the next iteration of quartz. Like, what does quartz turn into? And, you know, how can we leverage quartz with those other energies that it can, you know, depending on geology and temperatures, morph into all types of different variations. So, and they all
science nerdy
hold that energy. Yeah, go for it. You know way more in this arena than I do.
Well, I think too, one of the first things I learned to do with clear quartz points, just like the simple and like the little ones are actually great for this. The ones that are like your pinky finger size, is to take 3 of them and to lay down and to place them, one in the center, one in the left and the right, with the points away from you. Meditate for a few minutes and then flip them so that the points go towards you, and see the difference in your energy shift, your focus. So meditating with an open mind versus a purpose, and just experiencing how these quartz points and the change of direction might change your focus inward versus outward, or direct you towards like your external self versus internal. So I think that's something really cool. And I mean, 3 little tiny quartz points is all you need for it. So you don't even need anything super expensive, like to invest in, or rare. That's just a great place to start.
Yeah, and I have clear quartz points available. So if you do need those, reach out. We can set up a crystal consultation to figure out your needs, and we can definitely create a way for you to heal with those elements as well. And, you know, if you add it to your solar plexus, or like one on each side of your solar too, that would help amplify the lower energies of your body. So sometimes we process a lot in that solar plexus, which is our ego, it's our willpower, it's, you know, a lot of our polarity. And if you help shift that energy up, some of the polarities we constantly are looping through conversations, reactions, you know, old energies that we're ready to evolve, sometimes those perspectives or ideas can help be lifted. So adding that element just down, a little down, and then again at the top of the head, the left and the right side, that could be magical as well.
I think it's so cool. I just have to say, like, I think it's so cool how you work with people and you're like, okay, this is what you need right now in your life. You know, like that you can like tune in to what frequencies people need. Because I think a lot of us aren't in tune with what serves us in the moment, and we might know the thoughts or the feelings or the patterns that need to break, but we don't know the energies and the vibrations and the frequencies that we need to do it. And I think that's what's really cool about working with you, is like you can do that and be like, hey, like, let me help you shift that around.
Yeah. Very cool. What's so neat is during the pandemic, I was introduced to Healy, which is a microcurrent frequency. So right before this, I pulled what crystals Emma needs right now, and then I sent her those frequencies. So if you want to know what frequencies you need and would like to receive them, you can sign up for a free 20-minute Healy demo. And it's an app that has all these different frequencies, from crystal frequencies, plant frequencies. I mean, you name it, it has it. And it's based on vibrational healing. So it's going to send you the healing properties of the crystals, almost like you're holding it and using it in an intentional way, but it allows the frequencies to be sent to you. It's amazing. And then you also get a report, a PDF report describing what crystals you could benefit from. So if you already have them, you can use them. So that's what I pulled for Emma. Smoky quartz came up. She went and grabbed her smoky quartz ring and knew right away. And then I also sent her the frequencies as an added bonus. So here's an example of the app. And let's see. This is the, oh, it's probably too bright. Yeah, it won't work. But that's okay. It's so the app will show you the different crystal frequencies, give you a description of each one, and then it gives you opportunity to send the frequencies to anyone remotely. So of course you have to add different data points that, the way I see it, connect to your star mapping, like your astrology hologram, and in that can tap into your personal frequency. They use Dreamweaver technology that's been in, you know, Europe and Germany specifically for like over 30 years or 25 years, and created this amazing device called Healy. So this I could talk about for hours. However, I like to, just like with crystals, go into how it could benefit you based on your own needs. So that's why I have that free 20-minute consultation. It'll either be with me or one of my Healy with Healers members. We're all healers. We all use healing in different ways, but usually it's me. So there's a link below in the YouTube video. So make sure to schedule time because it's such a cool device. It's something you could pull every single day. Yes, you can also pull your chakras. You can read your aura. You can get all these amazing informations. And not only that, but you can actually get the frequencies too, which I love. So it's not just like, here's data, because I used to have a biofeedback aura reader and it would just give you all this like data on your aura, but it wouldn't give you the frequencies. So now this device does both. And it's something like, if you're super into your own energy, you can do this every single day for yourself, for your loved ones. It supports me with my husband, and understanding just what he's processing. Of course, I review it with him. But it's really amazing tool. So if you're looking for other types of frequencies, definitely set up that free 20-minute demo. You won't regret that. And it's free, right? So you'll learn, no matter what you learn.
Well, I'm excited to read mine. Like I haven't seen it yet because she pulled it right before this. So I'm very excited. But I think it's really neat because since I do spend my life around crystals, I'm very rarely surprised when something gets pulled. Like I feel like I'm pretty in tune. But what was very interesting today is that Sara pulled, and there were crystals on there that really don't normally vibe with me, but I've just entered like this new venture and they vibe with that. Yeah. And it was really kind of like, it was kind of cool to see that, that there were specific things tailored to what I had like literally just disclosed after she ran the report, hadn't even told her. Yeah. And then like she's like, oh, chit chat, and here we go, and disclosed like a new venture that requires specific support, and it was there.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. Yeah. This is, you know, it reads everything on a cellular level for trillions and trillions of cells. Then all cells have information, a different frequency. And so this technology is a quantum sensor, and it's reading these frequencies at a cellular level and saying, oh, wow, here's the vibrations that could support. And obviously this new endeavor, although you haven't fully stepped into it, you're already processing what would be required. And because that, the energy is already there. It's the key to manifesting, is that intentional alignment. And so these frequencies are so intelligent because it knows exactly what we could benefit from mentally, spiritually, physically, emotionally. It's I call it my virtual Reiki master. It's such a great tool, and anyone can use it. Anyone. So that's
really cool.
So one thing we also enjoyed during this is tea. So I thought we'd talk about what tea we've been enjoying, and really it's just because we love tea and crystals. So why not talk about both? Yeah. So do you want to talk about your tea?
Yeah, I think it's funny because I used to be a coffee person. Like, forget tea. Like tea was like those weird like Lipton tea bag, like forget it. But a couple years ago I had to give up coffee, and I like dove nose first into way too many teas. I'm obsessed now. It's crazy. And I love how you can, just like you can use essential oils to support your healing and balance like crystals and oil work, you can also use teas for that. Today I'm drinking one of my favorites. Let me find. So this is a handcrafted tea blend. The label is really faint. It's Sugar Alchemy. She is an amazing pastry chef that does beautiful edible flower artwork on pastries. They look like bouquets. She is insanely talented with that. her secret dream is to open a tea house with her pastries and her
I love
handcrafted
that.
teas. And I've just shared her secret dream. But it's beautiful. It is rose and saffron with a white tea. So it is just a very feminine, earthy, a little bit sensual kind of a tea. It's great for me when I want to be fully connected to myself, fully present. It has such a warm, that saffron has like a warm, earthy, grounding vibe. But the rose is uplifting at the same time. So I have my cute little teapot here. I literally had to refill my tea cup because we've been chatting for so long. But it's that beautiful golden color, and it makes me really happy. It's a nice loose leaf tea, so you can see it as it steeps. So that's what I'm enjoying. What have you got, Sarah?
I have one of my favorite tea vendors is Sister Wolf Alchemy. I'll put her link down below after the video. And it's an Akashic tea blend. So this is a tea to connect with your higher self. It has blue lotus, blue Bavarian, butterfly blue pea, lavender, mugwort, astra, and rose. And I love it because it turns blue. So it creates this like majestical energy that just feels so fun. And I thought, oh, clear quartz, majestical energy. Why not? It's also a tea I use in different readings. So I love to read tea leaves to get messages from our higher self as well. So this is one I thought would be fun to use today. And I always like to pull a message. So I'll pull a message for everyone based on the clear quartz energy and my tea. Okay. Good. Okay, so this is the message is don't get lost in the details. Like just keep moving towards what feels good. Don't get lost or caught up in the overwhelm of all the to-dos. This is more of a time to explore and see what comes to the surface versus having to go underneath the surface, dig and see everything, explore it, you know, analyze it, and then decide. This is like, nope. You're in murky waters and it's okay. Like have fun just exploring and navigating the unknown and seeing what comes to the surface versus forcing it. So that is the message of the crystal quartz and the clear quartz and the Akashic tea blend.
That's also perfect for me right now. So thank you, Sarah. I know there's people watching and they may need it, but thanks for that for me. I feel like I just had a nice little energy session.
Yeah, I love that. Well, it was such a pleasure to be here with you, Emma. Our next one will be on Tuesday, 5/25 at 11 a.m. So if you can't make it live, it's okay. You can always watch the replay. And we'll be talking about amethyst, citrine, and the other variations after clear quartz and how to work with those energies. I'll create a crystal grid using those elements, and we'll talk about, you know, working with those energies together. And yeah, if you have any comments or questions or anything else you'd like us to cover, just let us know. We're super open. This is really for us to share, you know, whatever comes through and the knowledge we have based on working with these energies in many different ways. So thanks for joining, Emma. It's been so fun. I love connecting with you always.
Thank you. I'm excited for the rest of my day. I feel like I've got like a nice positive energy between the tea and the crystal chat. So yeah. Always a pleasure. Yep. Before I have to go out into the real world.
Yeah, and we'll put the Sugar Alchemy tea link below too. So if people want to check out her blends, they can do that. I would highly recommend both. They're so amazing, and they both have different things to offer. So, you know, if you're into tea, I actually love coffee as well. So tea is something I'm getting more into, but I do appreciate it. I feel very different when I drink tea than coffee. So I'm exploring energy more in terms of consumption and what I'm putting in my body. So it's nice to connect with tea. So thank you for also suggesting that. It was Emma's idea to do tea and crystals.
It's kind of my vibe. That's like my perfect life is tea and crystals and my dog. And I've got all three today.
Yeah, and our husbands and, you know, life.
Oh, yeah, that too.
All right. Well, with that,
hopefully he won't watch this.
Bye. We'll see you next time.